Welcome to Tangi's Tapestry, where spirituality, law, motherhood, and relationships weave into a rich and meaningful discussion. I'm your host, Tangi, a mother, daughter, sister, friend, and an avid entrepreneur. Join me as I share my personal journey, explore faith-based discussions, and offer valuable legal insights. Each episode is designed to inspire, empower, and connect with individuals on their unique path. So let's dive into today's topic and embark on this journey together. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Tangi's Tapestry. I'm your host, Tangi, and today we're talking about something that holds us back from reaching our full potential. Now, there are a lot of things out there that can hold us back, but this topic is focusing on feeling inadequate. That's right, that big old self-doubt. And before I even go any further, I want y'all to know that I am one of the queens of procrastination, and I waited so late in the game to record this episode. And I actually waited so late that I'm recording it during my daughter's spring break. And mind you, I have a very noisy, rambunctious 11-year-old running around, making all kinds of noise. I've asked her repeatedly to be quiet while I try to record, and it just hasn't worked. And I've recorded and stopped and recorded, stopped and recorded, trying to get this episode to be perfect. And y'all know what? There's no such thing as being perfect in this life that we live. So what y'all hear in the background is what y'all hear. Do not judge me. Extend me a little grace and just be forewarned that I have a noisy kid in the background. So we are going to get this episode posted and prepared on the day that it's supposed to go. Okay? So anyways, I just thought I would throw that out there because, listen, I'm very authentic about, everything that I do. And I'm just not perfect in this situation. Like when it comes to podcasting, like I wait till the last minute for stuff. I have to re-record sometimes because I feel like it's not good. It didn't sound right. There's that inadequacy kicking in, right? So anyways, um, I want us to be able to discuss how to move from I can't to I did. And that's what this episode is about. It's about rising above inadequacy like a boss that we are. Okay. So I wanted to just have this candid discussion about moments that we all encounter self-doubt. If anybody tells you they never have dealt with self-doubt, then I would give them the side eye because I think there's always, you know, something in our life that we might doubt a little bit. Oh, I shouldn't say always, but there's some instances where we might have a little bit of self-doubt, maybe a lot of self-doubt, but whatever it is, I think we all have encountered that at one point or another in our lives. But before we jump into the conversation, I want to do a little recap about episode 6. I have my guest speaker, good friend, Miss Shay, on the last episode where we talked about healthy boundaries with difficult relationships. It was a very powerful conversation on how to protect your peace while still showing up for your loved ones. And so if you missed that episode, go back, give it a listen, and just know that boundaries are very important in maintaining emotional well-being. And so I think that's a good episode for you to listen to. But in today's episode, I'm going to be diving into how we can overcome feeling inadequate, whether it's, having to do with our careers, our personal goals, um, whatever it may be. I want us to be able to take control of our lives and just finally, stop letting doubt dictate our actions. So this is going to be all about rising above and accomplishing goals like a boss. Okay. So y'all already know how we do it on this episode, on this podcast. I like to have a scripture that kind of sets the tone for the conversation. And in this episode, I'm relying on Philippians 4:13. This is an actual scripture that's on my Bible cover, and I really love this scripture because it says, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. And so I think this scripture is so powerful because it reminds us that no matter how inadequate we feel, we have the strength of Christ to carry us through. So, whatever challenges we are facing, be it work, personal goals, or whatever else is in between that, just know that you're capable of overcoming it with faith and determination. Okay, so let's start by talking about what feeling inadequate even looks like. Now, it could be different for everybody, but these are just some of the standard things that I kind of think that inadequacy kind of looks like. And so, you know, for me, I can think back to when I was starting my law firm. Um, that really was a big deal for me. And I definitely felt like, oh my God, I'm way in over my head. I don't have what it takes. You know, who am I to even be doing this? Like, I've never ran a business before. All of these things popped up in my head, right? But here's the thing, when we experience doubt, um, it happens a lot of times when we are doing something new. At least that's what I found for myself. And so it can show up, in that kind of way. It can also show up in, you know, having a fear of failure. So like you probably don't want to start something or try something new because you're scared, or you think you don't measure up. And then there's also that thing of the imposter syndrome. So that's where you feel like you're a fraud or you don't deserve success because maybe I don't know, like you just don't think that you're qualified enough for it, even though you've worked really hard, to get what it is that you're working towards. Um, and then you have the comparing yourself to others. You're seeing what others are doing well, and you think, well, why can't I do that? So I'm here to tell you that those feelings are all valid, they're all normal. I've had some of those feelings, especially the feelings of um, like feeling like failing, right? Like nobody wants to fail at anything they set out to do. So even though we have those feelings, we don't have to stay stuck in those feelings. And so I want to share with you some practical steps on how to overcome inadequacy. And so we want to try to move from the I can't do this to I did do it and I did it well. So here are some practical steps that, I think have kind of worked, at least in my life, that I would like to share. So, one of the things for me when I start to feel inadequate, I actually express those feelings. I write them down, I say them out loud to myself. I acknowledge that I'm feeling inadequate. I recall a time I was in court like several months ago, and you know, I'm be honest, I am not the greatest litigator. I don't even really like litigation as much, but um I had a judge who was really, really hard on me, and it made me feel like I was just like, why am I doing this? Like, am I in the right career? Like I was questioning my whole career path, all because I allowed someone to rent space in my head to make me feel like I'm not good enough. But I had to express those feelings and really just like do some inventory and take note of the fact that I was feeling that way so that I could address why I was feeling that I was feeling inadequate. Um, and so once I did that, I was able to remind myself, like, listen, I have I had an off day, right? I was having an off day. I didn't know what I was saying or doing. And I had to remind myself I've done well in other hearings, and I got this, right? So you have to counteract it with things that you've already achieved. And that's like a reflection tip. So once you acknowledge that you're having self doubt and inadequate feelings about whatever it is you're trying to do, counteract that with go back and think about some of the things that you've been able to accomplish and tell yourself like, nah, I got this. I have done X, Y, and Z. So I know I am not, inadequate. I know I can do this, right? So that's just one of the things I would say is just make sure you're acknowledging it so you can address those feelings. Another thing that you want to do when you're starting to feel inadequate is maybe take um small consistent steps. So I think a lot of times when we have a goal, we look at the goal in its totality. Like it's like a big picture of the goal. And we want to just say like I'm going to start a law firm, and you just go all out and you're doing all these things, and you're not breaking those goals down into smaller, more manageable tasks. And I have a huge issue with doing that sometimes. Like I'll just get this ideal and then I just go all in, and I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that, and it's just overwhelming. And sometimes feeling inadequate comes from trying to like take on too much at one time. And so if you focus on like one step at a time, and then even along the way celebrate the small wins, then you probably will feel less of that inadequacy feeling if you just break things down a little bit instead of saying like I'm going to do this and then it fails because you tried to do too much at one time, right? So I hope that's making sense. Another thing I think is helpful is, speaking positively to yourself. So, you know, of course, when you have self doubt, the first thing that pops into your mind are things like, you know, I'm not good enough, or, you know, I'm too, like, especially like as you get older, like I'm getting much older in life. And, I think to myself, God, I wish I would have started this when I was younger. I'm too late to make a difference. I'm tired. All these things we can think about. Um, and that can lead to the feeling of inadequacy. So you want to stop the negative self talk, and you want to start thinking, I am capable of doing whatever God has called me to do. I'm qualified. I have the strength to succeed. Whatever it is, you want to affirm your worth and your value. You want to speak positive, even if you don't see the positive happening. You still want to just speak it, because what we say has life and has power. And so it's really important that you speak positive over yourself. And then the last thing, you want to lean into your faith. Now, if you're not a person of faith, then maybe this doesn't apply to you. But if you are a woman or man of faith, one of the best ways to overcome inadequacy is to remind yourself that God has equipped you whatever you need for whatever goal you're trying to accomplish. And I refer back to Philippians 4:13, where, you know, we have to trust and know that we can do all things through Christ, because it is Him who gives us the strength to do them. When we try to do things in our own power, because trust me, I am notorious for trying to do it in my own strength, I am always falling short when I try to do everything in my own strength. But once you start trusting in God and knowing that He's going to give you the strength that you need to be able to do whatever it is that you were meant and set out to do, then that's going to help you feel less inadequate. At least it has for me. Okay. So let's face it, we're all going to make mistakes along the way, but that doesn't mean we're inadequate. It just means that we're learning, we're growing, we're evolving, and we have to just embrace the journey. There's going to be some bumps along the road. We're not going to get it right. We're going to miss the mark. We're going to probably make mistakes. But those mistakes are simply opportunities for us to grow. And each failure, even if, we do set out to do something and we fail at it, each failure teaches us something. It teaches us, one, how to do things better, and how to be more resilient. I can tell you, I don't have a problem with starting stuff. And if I don't do well in it or I fail in it, I'm okay with that because at least I tried. I don't think that's my problem. um, for me, the fear of failure, that I don't think that one is my problem. I think I have more of the imposter syndrome a little bit maybe, or I don't know what it is. Sometimes I just get in my head where I just think that I don't deserve this. Who am I? Kind of, yeah, I think it's that imposter syndrome for me. That's um my issue, right? So, but I think if we just trust the journey, um, you know, and not look so much as, you know, getting to the destination of our goals, but we just trust the process. That is probably a little bit more helpful, and takes out some of that feeling of inadequacy. But just remember, you're not alone in this situation. Um, Even when we feel insecure, um, we do have a community, we have faith, and we have the strength to keep going. So just know that you're enough. Whatever doubts you have, they don't define you. Remember to take one step at a time and celebrate your progress. Trust God with the journey and know that He's equipped you for the success that's ahead of you. Um, and, don't sit around and compare yourself to other people. I think that one is huge because we live in a society where social media throws everything in our face. We see this person doing this, we see this person doing that, and they're very successful and they have thousands of followers and all of this stuff. We want to be liked, we want people to like us, we want people to follow us, we want people to listen to us, we want people to see us doing this and that. A lot of it is pride. I tell you right now, there's a lot of people out there who really just do a lot of stuff because they just want to be seen, and they do a lot of things for the wrong reasons. And then when you look at all this stuff, it makes you feel inadequate because that's not how you operate. That's not, you may not care about having a whole bunch of like followers and likes and all that stuff. But the world tells us that's what makes us likable. That's what makes us popular. That's what gonna get us where we need to be if we have all of this stuff and all the things that everybody else has. But that's just really not the case. And so again, I really think that you have to just be honest with yourself. Really, acknowledge how you're feeling if you feel inadequate and follow some of those steps that I gave you. So I hope some of that was helpful. I know this episode is a little bit of like, I'm gonna be honest, it's kind of thrown together because I wait till the last minute to do some of this stuff. And I wear so many hats, you guys. I have the my daughter and all her stuff going on. I have my business. I'm in school. I have all these different things and I'm just stretched to capacity. And then my podcast and whoo child, that's a whole situation, this podcast. But I'm gonna be consistent and keep doing it. So I hope you guys found this episode helpful. I encourage you to share it with someone. Um, and then I also hope that you guys can subscribe to Tangi's Tapestry. I know I'm not on video this episode again. I just didn't have the capacity to really do a video. And it takes so much time, editing videos and doing all that stuff. I just wanted to do something simple. So, you know, make sure to tune in for the next episode. I don't really know what I'm going to be doing just yet. Uh, hopefully it's something good, a little bit, better than this one. There goes that inadequacy feeling kicking in. But whatever, I don't care. I did it. I'm proud of myself, right? I'm proud that I got my episode done for this week. And so, like I said, you got to affirm and give yourself celebrate the little small wins, right? And so, just remember that you're not alone in this journey of overcoming inadequacy. You got this, I got this, we got this. So stay tuned for next week's episode. And until then, take care. Remember, God has a plan for you. Peace out. Thank you for joining me on this journey through Tangi's Tapestry. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Remember, new episodes drop every second and fourth Monday, so be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for more heartfelt discussions, personal stories, and valuable legal insight. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider sharing it with your family, friends, and followers. Your support means the world to me as I strive to create meaningful content that inspires and empowers. Well, until next time, take care and remember to weave your own unique story into the tapestry of life. See you on the next episode of Tangi's Tapestry.